Hey everyone, you don't want to miss this episode. Today we're diving into something that has been transforming businesses around the world, EOS or entrepreneurial operating system. If you've ever wondered how successful businesses stay organized, grow, and scale on big magnitudes, this is the episode for you. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Control and Compound. I'm Darren Mitchell, and joining me today, as always, is Christina. And Christina, I'm excited about today's episode. We're going to dive into the practical tools and strategies that can really help your businesses scale and thrive. And, spoiler alert, we are using this too, and we'll share our experience. But today, I think we want to talk about something that every entrepreneur needs to hear about. Whether they implement it or not will be a personal decision. But EOS, or the entrepreneurial operating system. Christine, I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm excited too, Darren, to share what we've learned so far. I love sharing ideas with other business owners and letting people know what we're working on. So excited to jump into it. But before we do, I just want to remind everybody, if you're listening on your favorite podcast platform, please make sure that you like and subscribe. And if you're listening or watching on YouTube, please make sure you like, subscribe, and hit that bell button so you always know when new content is coming out. And don't forget to follow us on social media at Control and Compound on Instagram and TikTok.
All right. So EOS has been a game changer for so many businesses. It's crazy. It's simple, practical framework to really allow you to grow your business. And I'll tell you how kind of it came into my radar. I'm part of a strategic coach 10X program with Dan Sullivan's group. And I'm sitting there one day and I think of the 25 entrepreneurs in my class that day, about 80% of them were using EOS. And I was like, what is EOS? What is this thing you're using? And then like these were really successful businesses. And I was like, what is this EOS? And tried to dig into it. So Christina, why don't we start there? What is EOS?
Yeah, so it's not an app, although it kind of sounds like it, right? It's not an app. It's not a magic trick that's going to fix things overnight or anything like that. But it's a simple, proven system designed to help you get a grip on your business. So it's a system, an entrepreneurial operating system, a system that you follow, and it's all about running your company more smoothly, creating structure, processes to help you do that, and making sure that every person on your team is kind of going in the right direction. So it's a system that's already been designed and has been proven to work, and it's offered out there for entrepreneurs. So we've been using it for about 6 months now. We've been operating on EOS, and that's what they call it, operating on EOS. And once you get going, like, you can definitely see the difference in how things are running and how smoothly they are running in the corporation or in the company. So I'm excited for us to share what we've learned so far.
Yeah, I'm excited too. So okay, so let's dig into the sort of 6 key components. So this was EOS was created by Gino Wickman. He's got some great books out there. But when we dig into the 6 components, and just share a little. I got to tell you, as a entrepreneur who works hard and is driven and all this stuff, we start talking about vision and mission and values. I'm like, oh, that fluff crap. Like let's just go. Let's get to work. Let's do it. And actually going through this exercise has been transformational. So even those that are a little hesitant, I just wanted to lay that out before we talked about the first one, because the first key component is vision. And it's about getting clear on your vision and where you're going to go as a company. But it's not enough just for you as the visionary or the entrepreneur to say, oh, yeah, I know the vision. Everyone in the organization needs to be aligned with the vision and see the same thing or be able to work towards the same thing.
Exactly. And you need to document it too. So, like, for us, we sat down for a full day when we were working on these things. And you wouldn't think that you needed that kind of thought put into it, but you absolutely do. You want to define your core values for the business, and you want everyone to follow and believe in those values, right? You want to know exactly what that long-term target is going to be. What are we all aiming for? Because we all need to aim for the same thing in order to hit those targets. So it was really cool because we sat down, we went through the whole process of getting our core values. We were very excited about it. And then it's really neat because they get you to put together almost like a whole event for your team. It was really exciting for the team. Like, we all got together, we shared our core values, we got some swag made. So now everyone has a mouse pad that has our core values on it, so you can see it every day. We've got the water ball, all those great things. So getting your team on board and excited about the core values too. But yeah, we were really excited when we went through it and kind of picked those all out.
Yeah, I mean, just those core values alone. When we identified what our values are, we started screening our current employees, saying to our current employees, may hit these values, and then who are we looking to hire as we scale, and we're going to put each new candidate through, the people finder to see is this person in line with our values, and if not, they're not a fit. So the second component is people, and you probably heard the phrase, if you've looked into EOS at all, right people, right seats. Well, that's what EOS kind of is focused on, getting the right people in the right, doing the right roles, right? You don't want someone doing something they shouldn't be doing, or they're not great at it. So it's about building a team where everyone focuses on their strengths, right? Their unique ability or what they're good at.
Yeah, we actually create a full accountability chart through the process when we're getting EOS set up and running. And you create the accountability chart and you create the seats for all the different roles in your company. And then you can make sure that the people that are in your company are fitting into those right seats, right? Because, like you said, everybody has different skill sets. They have to want to be doing that role too. You don't want somebody in a role that doesn't want to be there. That's not ideal for the company either. So they do a full accountability chart on where, which seats are in your company. And then you kind of fill them with your people. And, not everyone's going to be the right fit, but that's okay, because sometimes you find that that person would be great in another seat over here and you can shift them. And that's just going to be so much better for everyone overall. That employee is going to be happier. A happier employee is always better for the business.
Yeah, and what I like about this is, even if you're a small organization, like when we went through it, Christina and I were in multiple seats, right? Oh, you're doing this and this job and this job. And well, again, as you scale and grow, it's like, okay, well, you only want maybe Christina in one seat long term, right? And Darren in one seat. So how do you hire accordingly when you're looking to fill those new positions? Uh, Next up is data, and we totally embrace this one. So EOS encourages businesses to run on data. So not just gut feelings, but here's the data. This is measurable results every single week, month, quarter, year, how we're doing, to see how the business is performing. But it's not just, it's a lot of those leading indicators too, that if this part, if your leads aren't coming in, then we know your sales are going to be down. So don't wait till your sales are down, track your leads, and then you can identify, okay, wait a minute, we've got a problem now. And then you can look back at your data from previous years and compare or previous months. So we're really excited for when we get to year 2 and 3 and 4 in this exercise, where we can look back and learn from, when are the busy times, when are the slow times, when should we not, put the alarm off that things aren't as busy. Oh yeah, well wait, this happens every year at this time of year. Again, just data to kind of back it up.
Yeah, they actually have scorecards, and it was a little bit of work implementing it when we first started because it wasn't something that we were used to doing, reporting every single week. But EOS, they have a platform that you can use. It's called 90.io, where you can go in and you can input your scorecard. It actually keeps everything very neat and organized. I love it. And we started doing that right out the gates, like immediately. And you might need to, switch things, change things as you go until you figure it out. But we've got 2 quarters worth of data now that we've been putting in those scorecards. And I'll tell you, it makes a big difference when you can go back and look, okay, this is what happened at this week. Oh, well, that makes sense because this is what was happening at the same time. This time of the year, things might be a little bit slower. We know that this week, last month, or this week, last quarter, this is what happened. And having that data kind of clarifies that for you, but it also allows you to pick up on things quickly. So we had an error, and it was a technology error that happened in the office, and the numbers weren't looking right, and we're like, something can't be right here. And having those numbers in front of us, right up front and center, was like, okay, let's jump on this now. And our team got in the back, and there was a glitch in the system of a technology issue that they were able to pick up immediately and figure out that error. Had we not had that data available to us that week, that could have gone on for a couple weeks before someone picked up on it. So like, immediately I have found that it has been helpful, but I think, like you said, long term it's going to be extremely helpful in seeing that year over year data as well.
Yeah, and I think just too, from a leader, CEO, management team perspective, even if you're maybe you're away for a few days, you're not there for, like, if you have a weekly meeting or something, you can glance at the scorecard, and in about 5 seconds you can identify, okay, things are on track, good, this is working, because you can see those each element of the scorecard to say, did you hit or miss your target, and identify any issues. So that ability to just do a quick snapshot of the overall effectiveness and how efficient the business is running in a particular week, month, quarter, it's awesome.
Well, yeah, and one other thing I wanted to note, because we kind of missed it when we are talking about people, was the accountability side. So what we learned from EOS, which was very important, is that not no two people can't be accountable for one thing. Like we had a lot of things where, yeah, we were like, oh, that's Darren and Christina, that's Darren and Christina. Like, no, Darren and Christina cannot both be accountable. One person has to be accountable for it. And that goes back to that accountability chart that I talked about, but also having that scorecard, it looked like it was a big task when you looked at it up front. But as each individual person in your team takes on accountability and takes on the role of inputting that data, it becomes light work, right? Because now you're working as a team and you're each accountable for each area. You know what's going on in your area. You can pinpoint it too. So it's really cool.
All right, so now let's talk about your personal issues in your life, Christina. No, we're going to talk about issues. We don't have any issues. No, where our business runs perfectly. But actually, this is a real one that every business is going to have issues, but it's how you handle them that makes the difference. And EOS has a process to help you handle issues, identify, discuss, and solve. So it gets to like out of the root of the problem. All right, let's fix it. Let's solve it. But we have a process to do that instead of it, just going on and on and on until finally it's a massive issue, and then it blows up. So identify, discuss, and solve, IDS, and a process how to weekly identify the issues and address them. Really cool.
Yeah, well, have you ever been in that meeting where people are just talking in circles and you're getting nowhere with the issue? And they call them issues, but they're not always issue kind of gives it like it's a bad thing as well. But sometimes an issue is something positive too. Like we're just, different things and different projects that are coming up that we need to chat about.
Yeah.
That becomes an issue. But by using that process of identify, discuss, and solve, oh my gosh, it takes time off those meetings. Like before, we could, a 20-minute conversation can be drilled down to a 5-minute conversation because you're like, nope, we just stick to it. And the person running the meeting almost has to be a bit like a drill sergeant. You like got to bring everybody back because we don't waste time in meetings anymore. There are no meetings for no reason, which is awesome.
Yeah, the process of the one once a week meeting for us as a leadership team is so cool. Just boom, 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 boom. Just the facts. Let's go through, identify, discuss, solve, boom, move on. Okay, so the fifth one is it is your favorite word, I think, in the English language, Christina, is process. So if your business is going to scale, you got to have a repeatable process in place, right? You can't be creating on the fly if you're going to scale big time. So this means documenting your core processes. This is what everyone does in this role and does them consistently. And we were pretty good at that because of you, Christina, but this took us to the next level.
Yeah, I think this is how you got me on board, Darren. You came back from strategic coach and you're like, have I got a process for you? It's like, I want to hear about this process. What is this?
Your ears perked right up. Ooh, process. Let's go.
I was very excited. And that's really what it is. EOS is a system, which a system is processes that we follow, right? And I thought we were pretty good at processes, to be honest, until I got in there and we started kind of digging through the processes and documenting. So this is a big one. EOS, and we're working on it. This is not an overnight, it's done and we're ready to go. Like we are documenting individual processes. We actually just started, they recommend using a platform called Playbook Builder. So that's something we're just getting into now where we're documenting everything. So when we have a new person come on board, they can literally go into this platform. They can see the videos, they can see how it's done. They can search for how everything is done. It's called the CNC Playbook is what it will be. But it just makes it so much easier for no one's ever questioning what is the process. Like, just go to the playbook. You'll be able to see it there. So it's not only just creating the process, but I think it's really neat that it pushes you forward in documenting those processes and sharing those processes with the team. Like, because you want everybody, following along and you want it easy to be able to implement it. It's not easy when you have stuff everywhere, right?
Yeah. Yep, love it. Okay, the last component is traction, and it's all about executing your vision with discipline and accountability. So what I mean by that is people in January said, oh, I'm going to double my business, or I'm going to have, all these goals. And then it just, all of a sudden next December, you're like, oh, let's just repeat the same. same thing, and you didn't hit those goals. Whereas EOS, it's going to say, okay, if this is your vision for the next year, 2 years, 3 years, let's break it down by quarter, and then let's break it down by week into actionable goals. So it's really cool. It's like keeps you on track every week. And Christina, this has been one of our favorite parts of EOS. And we get excited when we have these meetings every 3 months to see how we're doing against those measurable things we're measuring on everybody.
Yeah, I think the traction is where the real magic happens because we can plan, and we can have all the ideas in the world, but until you put them into action and you start moving forward with them, they're just ideas, they're just plans, right? And this keeps everybody accountable and moving forward on a weekly, on a quarterly basis. We're all moving in that same direction, and we're all staying accountable. It's almost like the foundation. We talk a lot about the foundation of your financial plan. This is the foundation of your business. I feel running on this process and making sure that everyone's going in that same direction and staying on track. We never stop moving forward, which is so important because there's a lot of businesses out there that hit ceilings, right? You're moving, you hit that ceiling and you can't go any further. You get stuck. And I think there's a lot of businesses out there that would feel that way. You get stuck and you don't know how to move forward. Well, EOS gives you that foundation. It gives you that structure to keep moving forward when you think that you can't, when you think that you've hit that wall. So yeah, I think this one, I do feel that the traction is the thing that gets it going, right? It's the magic.
Yeah, and I just want to say a couple things about rocks because that's our we're always talking about how your rocks doing, how your rocks doing. So one of the things on this, there's a great video about a professor talking to a class, and there's been a bunch of variations of it. But he comes in with some big rocks, some small rocks, and some sand and some water, and they put the sand in and they put this in and they go, oh, is this full? Is the jar full? And they're like, yes. And then he can put some more stuff in. But then he does it again where he puts the big rocks in first, then the smaller rocks, then the sand, then the water, and it all fits in. And the idea here is you've got to look after the big things first. So one of the things we do every quarter is we have 3 or 4 rocks each. We have some corporate ones, and then we have rocks each. And it could be like, hire a new admin, train another wealth coach, find new office space, and you're accountable for that in the quarter. What we found before is we'd have 17 different goals and there'd be too many to track and actually hit. But when we broke it down and said, okay, this is what we're going to focus on this quarter. And then every week at your leadership team meeting, you have to say, are you on track, off track, on track, off track? And if you're off track, we got to get together and say, well, what are you going to do to get back on track? And that for us has been so cool because when we get excited about a new project, you know what we say? Oh, that'll be one of my rocks next quarter. Because we know trying to put that on this quarter, it's like, no, we are focused, laser focused on hitting these 3 rocks or 4 rocks personally or corporately, whatever the rocks are. So big fan of rocks, Christina. Okay, so let's talk about how EOS works in the real life. So think of your business like a car. You get all these parts, right? You get the tires, you get the gas tank, you get the engine, you get all this stuff. Well, unless it's all working in sync, your car's not going to go anywhere. And EOS is like that for your business. So we try to get every part of your business working together so you can go fast, so you can go far, so you can go the distance.
Yeah. So like we said, there is a process to it. When you first start, you sit down with the leadership team and you kind of define all of these things, those core values that we talked about. So we work through that. And then we start our 90-day world. So we work in 90 days with EOS. So every 90 days we get together, and we check to make sure that we're hitting those rocks that you just talked about, right? So we're making sure we're hitting our rocks, and we're also making sure that those rocks are targeting our 5-year and our 10-year goals, right? So looking out bigger picture as well. When we pick a rock, we have to make sure that it's also targeting that 5-10-year rule. So we focus on those priorities. Now, what happens for a lot of people is they sit down for an annual plan or they do a quarterly plan. They talk about all these great things, and then all of a sudden they're at the end of the quarter and they're like, oh geez, we didn't, well, I got to get that done. It's the last week before the quarter. Now you're racing to try to get it done. Doesn't usually happen, right? So instead, they create a meeting pulse. And what that is they're called L10 meetings that you have weekly. The leadership team has them. All of the different teams in your company have them. We have them with each operation, sales, leadership. But weekly, they last about 90 minutes. And that's when you check in on your rocks. So everyone does a quick check in. Are your rocks on track or off track? Are your scorecards, are you hitting or are you missing on your scorecard? What are the issues that we need to discuss today? And by having those weekly meetings, you're consistently keeping that pulse. You're not going to wait until the end of the quarter and then circle back and try to do what you were, what you had to do. Instead, each week, you have your to-dos. It's kind of neat. Like I leave that meeting, I've always had my lists, but now I have my, master list there. And then I have my list for that week. And if I hit that list for that week, then it keeps me on target for that rock. And if I hit that rock, then I'm on target for the 5-year plan. I hit that, I'm on target for 10, right? So it keeps that meeting pulse going. Now you rate these meetings out of 10, hence the L10. That's why we have it. And the goal is to really keep things productive. So we want everybody to have a say in those meetings. So if you don't feel that the meeting's been productive, you can rate it lower than a 10, right? You can, and we can have a chat about why it didn't hit the expectations, but it's nice because it keeps everybody on task. It keeps everybody accountable and it keeps everything moving forward. And that's kind of what it looks like, kind of big picture using EOS on a regular basis.
Yeah, I love it because it's so focused and the structured meeting. So you don't have that wasted meeting upon meeting. It's nope. We're just boom, moving on. Here's the scorecard. Check, 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 check. Anything there we need to discuss as an issue, let's move it down. Boom, boom, boom. And that process, I love it. I hate wasting time on meetings.
I've definitely cut people off in those meetings before. I'm like, nope, that's for later. That's the issue, right? Our implementer would be proud. I keep that meeting going. You got to have, and you have to have someone firm running the meeting because it is easy for things to get sidetracked.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. Okay, so why does EOS work, or why do we think it works, and why have other entrepreneurial organizations made it work when other systems like really don't? I think one of the reasons just simplicity and execution. You can have all this complex theory that you want about, oh, here's a theory on this and that, but what this is, it's more like a system. And once you have the system in place, you can see results pretty quickly if you just stick to it. So I love that, just simple process. You stick to the process, you see results. It wants to make you stick to the process and continue along. So I think that's why it works.
Yeah. And I think going back to that accountability piece, that's been huge for us because when two people are accountable, nothing gets done. And this really nails it down on who's accountable and who's going to keep that wheel or keep it going forward, keeping that project moving.
Okay. So if you're the entrepreneur here in this, I want to talk to you specifically. Because as the entrepreneur, great, you're the visionary, you're the person that sets the vision. But step 2 is you got to make sure that vision is actually executed. And I think that's really where EOS can help you here. Is great, you have a vision, but how do you execute? And I find that's where some entrepreneurs kind of lose some of their traction, for to use that word. Is you need a system to keep things running smoothly. But there's a catch, because if you do this as an entrepreneur, part of this process is you're going to have to give up control of some things that you're doing now. You're going to have to delegate and assign things to your team. And it's a cool process to go through. And it's like, is this the best use to your time? Are you in the right seat here? Could we have someone else in this seat do this to allow you to focus more on, how to grow the business, how to scale the business, etc. So if you're the type of leader that micromanages everything, it's going to be a challenge for you. But I encourage even the micromanagers out there, I encourage you to do it, because I think it'll be the results will be worth it. And I think some of the books that Christina and I really enjoy from Strategic Coach that kind of fit this role is the Who Not How. We love that book. We reference it a lot. And then I'm a big fan of the 10X is Easier Than 2X book. Both Dan Sullivan for both these. If you start thinking about how to 10X your business, well, then you've got to think like EOS. You've got to say, okay, what people do I need in what seats if we're going to 10X this business? If you're going to 2X your business, great, I'll just work twice as hard and burn out. If you're going to 10X your business, you got to start thinking big picture. Oh, well, then we need a sales team. We need an operations team. We need a finance team, etc. And you start laying this out, and EOS can help you lay out that designed to scale your business. So I think that's kind of how it works. But as an entrepreneur, you're going to have to learn to delegate and not micromanage.
Absolutely. So I think that some people might be thinking, how do we get started in EOS? And you can definitely start small. You don't need to jump right in. We've kind of mentioned it, but the book Traction by Gino Wickman, this one you can get on Amazon. We always say educate yourself, right? It can't hurt to pick up the copy of the book, learn a bit more about it. That's definitely your first step. You don't need to implement everything at once. So you start with the vision, you work your way through. Now, something that really did work for us, though, and I think we needed more, as me and Darren needed more so, you can get an EOS implementer to come and work with you. So they're like a coach who guides you through the process. So he actually came in, like sat with us in a boardroom for 2-3 days at the very beginning, got everything laid out for us, got our processes on track. He comes in and meets with us, keeps those, keeps us accountable too, I would say, to some degree, in making sure that we implement EOS and we're working towards our goals and everything else. So I do think that it was 100% worth it adding the implementer for us. I don't know if everybody needs an implementer, but start with the book, learn a bit more about it, and then when you're ready, you can reach out to EOS directly. We're probably going to try to do a podcast episode later with our implementer, so hopefully we get him on soon too, so he can share a bit more knowledge on it. But we wanted to be able to share at least what we've learned so far in the first 6 months with you. I'm sure we're going to learn more, but it was so exciting and we've enjoyed it so much that definitely wanted to share it with our listeners, especially all the entrepreneurs out there.
Yeah, and again, that just to emphasize that importance for us anyway, to have that implementer. So when we meet a bunch of times starting out and then quarterly, and like it's got to be an offsite place where you meet, and like we meet at a place directly across the street from our office, but it's still we're not in the office, so people are, oh, Christina, can I just ask you a quick, Darren, can I get you to sign? It's no, we are at an offsite place, and then our implementer has a process that we have to follow for that, and then like you're so much more focused. And I know if we didn't have an implementer, and because you can self-implement, we'd be like, oh yeah, we should do this. Oh, you know what, this isn't a good day, can we do it next week? Why don't we just do half a day because we're really busy? But when you have that implementer and you're paying that implementer and you've got to book that time off and you've got to book that separate location, it I don't know, we never miss it, and we actually look forward to it, because we know how good we feel at the end of the day. So to wrap up, I really think EOS is a game changer if you're an entrepreneur out there and you want to scale your business. Now, typically, it's 8-10 employees before EOS, depending upon revenues. You could look a little smaller, and probably upwards to 250, 500 people. I don't know if you're a 1,000 life company that EOS is your thing, but I find it, if you want to scale or you're overwhelmed by all the moving parts of your business and you want to have a more efficient business, I think EOS is something you should definitely investigate. Now, for those listeners that are using EOS, you're probably more experienced than Christina and I on this. So we'd love to get your feedback. What do you like about EOS? What would you like would you like us to talk more about EOS? What works for you? What doesn't work? If you used EOS, tell us if it was a success. We'd love to get your feedback. So please reach out in the comments or reach out to us directly. We'd love to learn more about listeners' success or failure with EOS. All right. Thanks for tuning in today. Really appreciate it. I think it's a great episode for your entrepreneurs out there. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Have an amazing day. Thanks for watching this episode of Control and Compound. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell button so you never miss a new episode. And if you're ready to learn more, head to our website, controlandcompound.com. The link's below.